Take a deep breath in. And on the out breath, just relax your eyelids and release that breath. And as you release that breath, just get a sense that you're giving permission to your body to release tension. As you breathe in, take a deeper breath than you would normally breathe. And breathe in a feeling of resourceful relaxation. And as you exhale, get the feeling that you're willing to let go of some things that you've been holding on to. I want you to consider any emotion to be useful in the right context. Feeling tenacious is useful in the right context, but could be detrimental in the wrong context. Anger, rage is useful if someone's trying to harm you or someone you love, but maybe not useful if you're just running slightly late for a meeting. As you breathe in this resourceful feeling of relaxation, I want you to scan your body for any feelings of those emotions that aren't useful right now. Maybe that's tension, stress, anxiety, but it could also be shame, worry, guilt. Each emotion tends to have a location in the body. Worry and anxiety typically is in the gut. Quite often shame or regret can feel somewhere in the chest or around the heart. Guilt sometimes feels like it's around the throat. And I wonder where these emotions are for you. So as you breathe in this resourceful feeling of relaxation, allow yourself to let go of those feelings. Feel like they're leaving your body in your outward breath. As you breathe in and breathe out, I want you to create an image in your mind of two planes flying in the sky. Perhaps there's some kind of issue with the navigation, air traffic control, something has gone wrong. And these two planes are dangerously close to each other, almost colliding, but not. I want you to get a sense that while that was stressful and anxious, creating a lot of fear and worry for the people on the plane, particularly the pilots, these planes didn't actually collide. In which case it could have been much worse. Two planes colliding mid-flight would guarantee deaths of hundreds. And the near miss triggers an in-depth investigation, detailed analysis of what went wrong so that future near misses or things that could be even worse can be avoided. And in this investigation, I want you to imagine that there is a culture of curiosity, not a desire to blame and shame, to hang someone out to dry, but just a genuine curiosity of how did this near miss happen and what could be learned from it. I want you to get a sense that emotions are there to be learned from, whether that's regret or shame. And when these lessons aren't learned, a cycle can be created, a Groundhog Day, where the time might be different, perhaps the people are different, but the story is the same story, going round in a circle. And what breaks the cycle is learning from the emotions linked to those events. And I want you to consider a near miss as one of life's gifts. You get the benefit of all the wisdom, all the lessons, as if a catastrophe happens, but without the catastrophe. Near misses are rarely enjoyable or pleasant. Emotionally, they're quite tough. But that's where the gift is. Because when you can extract the value of a near miss, when you can stare into the abyss and still return, when you can have that drink in the last chance saloon and still have another chance, then a near miss can be a blessing. I want you to imagine that you're going back in time as an observer to a chain of events that took place that created a near miss. You're not in your own body. I want you to imagine witnessing you like you're a flying camera, a drone, observing everything that happened back then. But this flying drone that perhaps is invisible to anyone else has the ability to read thoughts, the inner dialogue. You get a sense of what happened without reliving what happened. And I want this flying drone to go all the way back to perhaps the weeks or days leading up to a fuck it moment. A moment where a thought led to an emotion, that led to an impulse, that led to a behaviour, that created a chain reaction. But I want you to go back to the point that led up to that moment. And the purpose of this observation is to learn all the lessons, to extract all the value, with the premise being, knowing what you now know, what could you have done differently? But now is not the time to do things differently. Now is the time to observe what happened, to see the moments leading up to that moment where you were at a fork, two paths in a forest leading in different directions. I want you to see the version of you that led to the point of choosing an undesirable, perilous path. Imagine observing, almost like your mind reading the inner dialogue that you were experiencing back then, but still seeing yourself like you're someone else. And then see the chain reaction. You can speed up time in your own imagination, but how one thing, perhaps drinking some alcohol, led to a thought that led to a decision that led to something else, and just see the chain reaction. Almost like you're watching a car crash in slow motion. So you can see the components that led up to that crash, but extract all the value. Just like those investigators investigating a near miss of two planes, I want you to imagine that you are forensically examining what happened. What were the thoughts? What was the focus? What was the impulse? And then what was the chain of events that followed? And I want you to follow this chain reaction until it created the maximum pain, emotional pain, physical pain for you, but more importantly, the people that you care about the most. I want you to shift perspective. So towards the end of that car crash, you're not in this invisible flying drone observing what happened. You're in the perspective of the person you love the most, and perhaps that loves you the most. Seeing you from their perspective. Tap into their emotion, their worry, their stress. How did they feel in that moment? But feel like you're experiencing it from their perspective. Amplify that pain, that emotion, and then rewind and see it from someone else's perspective that you also care about. Go back and replay it from as many different perspectives as possible. You've seen it from an impartial third party. You've seen it from the perspective of people that love and care for you. Observe this near miss from every angle possible. Each time, extracting wisdom, value, and knowledge from that. But also, observing how resourceful you are in those moments. Perhaps things like problem solving, tenacity, motivation. Accept that useful resources are being applied in an unresourceful way. Extract all the value. And then, knowing everything that you now know, I want you to imagine that you're going to observe it how you wanted it to be. Still from that flying, invisible drone. You're watching yourself through a video camera, but now see a version of you reliving the moments of that near miss in a way that you would have wanted it to have been. This is someone that nearly had the collision but gets to fly the plane again. Icarus that flew too close to the sun, but this time decided not to fly so high. I want you to observe a version of you, knowing everything that you know, how you would navigate that same near miss in a more useful way. Again, you've got the technology to read minds, you can hear the inner dialogue, you can get a sense of the emotions being felt, but still you're observing a different reaction to the same triggers. So when that fuck it moment comes, see a different response, a different choice, causing a different chain reaction. Consider this a sliding doors moment. In the multiverse, that fuck it moment created many different versions of you, each living a different existence. You experienced one existence. Now observe a different chain of events, a more desirable chain of events. Observe it how you would want it to be, and keep replaying it until you see it exactly as you would want it to be. Taking your life in a more useful direction. And I want you to add the ingredient that whatever need you had from that chain of events, see yourself meeting that need in a different way. A more positive way, a more useful way. And when you're convinced that the scenario that you've seen handles the feelings, emotions in a more useful way, avoids the chaos of that near miss, but still meets your needs in an elegant, useful, empowering way, then rewind it to the beginning, perhaps a day or two before this near miss, but now feel like you're in your own body. And I want you to try and bring forward that rebellious, naughty part that wants the immediate gratification. But knowing what you now know, you're able to handle this in a different way. Perhaps the thoughts are the same, but the way you respond to the thoughts are different. Perhaps there's an urge, a physical sensation, but that could be funneled into a different behavior. I want you to accept that shame is linked not to you as a person, but to the behavior and the choices that were made. And this is your opportunity to relive it, taking all the learning, because when you take the learning from a moment of shame, the shame goes away from you as a person and is linked to any thoughts or behaviors that led to the undesirable outcome. I want you to tap into an identity that has been forged from the pain of that near miss. To actually get a sense of gratitude from that near miss. To take all of the value as if something devastating happened, but reliving the moment in the way that you would prefer to have lived it. Feeling in your body, feeling the same sensations, urges, but feeling that your resources can better handle those urges. And then imagine that moment being how you would have wanted it to have been, all the way through the chain reaction. And I want you to associate into all of the good memories, the good feelings that came from that new chain of events. Feel that you could harness those same resources, the motivation, the desire, the tenacity, the relentlessness in positive and useful ways. And I want you to get a sense that when you zoom out and really think about it, these feelings, these emotions are infinitely better because it doesn't come with the chaos. It doesn't come with the pain, the upset, the shame, the worry, the guilt. I want you to step into a new identity. You still want good experiences, you want to feel good. But you want to feel good in a way that you feel good in the moment, and you also feel good when you think about it afterwards. And anything that doesn't do that isn't for you. I want you to think back to the ultimate pain that you caused for other people, and bring forth that naughty part that had that impulse, that thought. Much like a criminal meeting their victim, I want you to collide thought with consequence until you can bring about a feeling of remorse. But even more importantly than remorse is atonement. Because when a part fully takes responsibility, they associate into the consequences, they own it, then atonement is the desire to put things right. Feel that desire to put things right. And then just decide what that means for your life. Because when atonement is a thought, it helps. When atonement is a chain of events that use the same resources of motivation, tenacity, to do whatever it takes to put things right, the shame can go away. Because the part responsible for the shameful behavior has then used the same resources to show they are worthy of something more useful. Tap into all those feelings of all those things that are benefiting you from this near miss. The wisdom, the resolution, the atonement, the clarity, and relive it one more time as you would have wanted to have lived it if you could go back in time and live it again. And then imagine taking all of those resources, insight, wisdom, and emotions back to the present. A present with a new identity. And the belief that the future version of you can handle any thoughts, impulses, or desires in a more useful, empowering way. Take a deep breath in through your nose and out through your nose. Just wiggle your fingers, wiggle your toes, get a sense that you're fully in the present, all parts in this moment, but that you've extracted all the value from that near miss. As I now count from 1 to 10 to awaken you, starting to count. 1, 2, 3, waking up. 4, 5, 6, more alert. 7, 8, open your eyes, open your eyes. 9, 10, wide awake, wide awake, wide awake.